Each one of these tank destroyers is incredibly different on their playstyle. The Jagdtiger is a frontline, almost pseudo-heavy tank destroyer. The Su-122 is a mobile yet incredibly weak tank destroyer. The Tortoise is a frontline behemoth, but man, it only goes 20 kilometers per hour. And the Foch, it's got armor, it's got mobility, but it does lack a bit of penetration. All of these tank destroyers are very different, but you know what? One thing they all have in common is that they have just around 4,000 damage per minute. In fact, all 4 of these tank destroyers have more damage per minute than the highest DPM tier 10 in the game. That's pretty insane when you think about it. Even a vehicle like the Badger, sitting at 3,800 DPM, still doesn't even get close to the 4,000 DPM the Jagdtiger has, or even 4,275 DPM the Su-122-54 carries. The Tortoise and the Foch are sitting a little bit lower on DPM value, sitting at 3,905, but let's be real, that's still a heck of a lot more DPM than you would ever expect to find on a tier 9 tank destroyer. That is why I personally find tier 9 to be my favorite tier, is down to the fact that, sure, tier 10 might be where it's at. You got the most hit points, your tanks might have the most alpha. You know, a Jagdpanzer E100 has 800 damage per shot, but you can literally bully any tier 8s. And in a situation like this, yeah, you can bet that the tier 8s against us are not going to be too happy. So what exactly are we fighting? We got an M5Yo, we got a Motion, we got a WZ-111 GFT, that is actually a very scary tank, and also an ISU that kind of scares me. I mean, they got a lot of alpha tank destroyers. What they don't have is DPM tank destroyers, which we do. We have me and an Su-122-54. So we have some of the highest DPM in the game. I'm actually quite excited. Now, the Jagdtiger has 460 damage per shot. It's got accuracy, it's got really strong frontal armor, and it's not actually that slow. I mean, you'll notice its power to weight is awful, but on flat ground, this tank can get up to like 38 kilometers per hour, which is just a bit faster than some of the other tanks, especially the tank destroyers that we're going to be going over. So let's see if we can push our way over this hill. I'm really hoping that, like, the ISU doesn't get spotted on that corner over there, because that is one of the nastiest spots in the game. It also looks like this Motion might just be... Nope, never mind. The moment I say he might be AFK is the moment when he's not AFK. Well, we got the Yo over here, and if this Yo tries to turn, well, you know what's going to happen to him. He's going to get badonkered once. We're going to put on our adrenaline, and in 4 more seconds, he's going to get badonkered twice. There you go. And now I'm just going to face hug him here, so he has a bit more of a challenging time. And even though he might shoot at our... oh, wait, no, he might shoot me. I'm not actually sure what he's doing. But you know what? My Jagdtiger did his job, finished him off. And now we're going to shoot this IS-5 once. I'm going to back up, ignore that Motion, because honestly, the Motion doesn't have enough DPM to scare me right now. We're going to get another shell into that IS-5, 396 tap right there, and his vehicle's basically a goner. We do have the Motion off to the side, and we're going to pen 1 shell into his lower plate for 497. And now we're going to push towards him. By the way, we are already up to 2,800 damage dealt, which is pretty insane when you think about it. Again, I'm just going to ignore the enemy team, keep on pushing through. Let's just see if I can get another pen on this Jagdtiger. There you go. Nice 575 tap there. We're going to reload. 4 more seconds, and badonk. There you go. Another 504 tap. We're up to 4,500 damage dealt already, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. We're going to finish off this Borsig. I don't really know what he expected was going to happen, but clearly not the best of decisions from his part. And then we're going to turn, get a shell into the enemy Motion, but we do have an ISU off to my side, so I'm going to turn before he can probably tap us. And now we're going to just, a boop. There you go. ISU is cleared, and that's the Jagdtiger, ladies and gentlemen. This was a 5,000 damage game. Does this game seem like I did 5,000 damage? Heck no, but we did. It is truly a remarkable take on its frontline capabilities. I mean, you just don't mess with the Jagdtiger. Even if you're in a tier 10 vehicle, I mean, you're gonna die. It's got alpha, it's got pen, it's got accuracy, DPM, and even some armor. So that was 5,361 damage dealt, pulling ourselves out of mastery for the first battle played. Now we're gonna badonker our way over to the Su-122-54. This tank holds the title, and probably always will hold the title of the most damage per minute in the game. The reason is because it's sitting not only over 4,000, but at 4,300. That's enough to literally butter through everything with its DPM. But that's not to say this tank doesn't have downsides. In fact, I would much rather prefer to play in a Foch or a Jagdtiger over this vehicle. The real killer is the fact that it has almost no armor. So you might have an insane gun, and obviously having all that DPM gives you the ability to sometimes clear an opponent incredibly fast, but when you don't have that much armor, it definitely feels like you're just trading, and this tank also doesn't have huge alpha. It's 420. Now, it has more than the Foch and the Tortoise, but the Tortoise and Foch both have great armor, where this one doesn't. So I do see where this tank can fall apart. It's also got a bit worse dispersion compared to the other two vehicles, so I will say that out of the four I'm going to play, this is the one that makes me a little bit nervous compared to the rest. But we are in a good matchup. We're against tier 8s, and the tier 9s that we are up against, well, I would honestly be scared to fight them, because the Waffle can knock a very hefty chunk off of me. The Houri can also knock a very hefty chunk off me, and same for the SU-122-44. It's me, so yeah, most DPM. What we are going to do is we're going to sit here. Another thing I should mention is that this tank has very, very, very poor gun depression. It's like 3 degrees, so you do got to be careful when using it to make sure that, you know, you're not just putting yourself in an awful situation that you're going to be rushed in. So we got an Object 252 in the front line. They got a T-77 who is turning his turret sideways, but as you'll notice, the gun depression just not enough to work these situations here. If this T-77 does poke, maybe we can pen him. There you go. Nice 337 tap, and now we back up. I mean, that's not bad at all. This Patton is still shooting at us, it looks like, but I'm not too worried about the Patton. Honestly, right now, I'm just trying to think of what the smartest decision is to do, because this is a perfect example of where you just kind of feel stuck in place with the SU, where if I was in like a Jagdtiger or a Tortoise, heck yeah, I'd be driving right in the front line, but because I'm not, you got to be really careful, especially because I don't have a turret, so I might have a lot of mobility, but if I don't use that mobility correctly, it can be a very quick grave for me. So let's get one shell into that Houri. There you go, nice shot. And now let's pull forwards a bit, and let's put on my adrenaline. Oh, I was really hoping that Houri would put himself in a position that we could shoot him again, but honestly, I'm just gonna drive up here. He's not really turning towards me, so let's get another shell into this Houri. And in 3 more seconds, since we still have our adrenaline on, let's get one more tap into his vehicle. We also got the SU-122 off to the side, and you know what? If he's not gonna look at me, I'll take advantage of that. We also got the Patton rushing me. 2 more seconds, we should have a shell that we can just kind of badonker into him. There you go. Nice tap for 402. And even though this Patton probably thinks he can rush me, the real... Oh, okay. Well, that's a perfect example of the dispersion being quite poor on this tank. So let's just fire an HE at that Patton, finishing him off. That was a mistake on his part. Not sure why he did that. I think we can kill this AMX. It's... Yes. I was a little worried that he might high roll us, but at this point, there's no chance of him high rolling us, and he's dead. So I played this game pretty aggressive, but because the enemy team focused me, and because I was able to showcase the DPM working, we've been able to do a pretty solid job. So I know this SU can kill me in one shot, so obviously I don't want to put myself in the position to be one shot. Now it looks like he's just going to try and YOLO me, so I'm just going to tap him here, and maybe we can block a shell, but no, unfortunate. We still did 3,000 damage, and we're going to win this, so I'm not really worried, but you can definitely see where this tank has a bit more of a struggle compared to its other players, or not players, but brethren when it comes to DPM. Now our IS-3 defender is... I'm not really sure if he's winning this or losing this fight. The SU out-reloads the defender, but I don't think he knows that, so he's actually not pushing him. This defender has turret armor, but I don't think enough, but it doesn't matter. Kampfpanzers are going to finish him off. Not a crazy game, as I said. 3,100 damage, but that still is 3k. And you can imagine in a game where I do get to expose the DPM on the opponents, especially if you're in like a tier 10 battle and a vehicle like the E100 or the Mouse showcases itself, if you put on adrenaline, you can literally kill a full health Mouse in maybe 20, 30 seconds. It is pretty dumb what the tank can get away with. Now we're moving our way over to the Tortoise. This tank is the slowest of the bunch, but unlike the Jagdtiger, it actually carries a pretty solid power to weight. So if you're going uphill or really anything like that, you can fairly easy get into position, which is great. But I will say that the Tortoise, it's a 50-50 for me. I think that it's insane now that its armor got buffed, but I would say insane against tier 8s and tier 9s. Against tier 10s, you can still load the premium ammo and penetrate it mostly everywhere. The hatch can be a bit troll, but for the most part, you're still going to pen it. So for me, I like to play it aggressive, but not too aggressive, if that's a good way to word it. Especially with vehicles like the 4005 and the 50B that exist now with their extra shells. You know, your Tortoise can go from full health down to 200 in a matter of seconds. Now, we have that SU-122 that I think the enemy team had last battle, which is not amazing news. He didn't seem to play his tank great, and we also have that Patton, which is also not amazing news, because that Patton really didn't play his tank great, but as long as the players do their job, they play correctly, I could care less. So I root for you guys. So let's see what I have to be worried about. Obviously, I said the 50B is a threat. The 4005 is a pretty big threat. When it comes to the M5Yo, yeah, it can hurt me, but let's be real, I've got like double its DPM, so not too worried. 54, 92, those tanks don't scare me either. 907 doesn't scare me. It's really just the tank destroyers, the vehicles that have the ability to not only pen me, but hurt quite a bit. The Waffle is a tank that still does give me a little bit of nightmares. Now, judging that base D is being captured, that means that not all of their team went to this side of the map. I'm hoping that this 907 doesn't back up, and judging that he didn't, that means we can get a nice old taparoonie into his vehicle. There's the 92E1, but yeah, that 907 is already basically dead. That T-54 might try and get a shot in, and it looks like he is. I kind of predicted that, so let's get a nice shot into that T-54. 3 more seconds, we're going to be able to get another shell in. Maybe we can even hesh him and fire. Boom, 509 damage. Hesh shell right there. That is where this tank just feels even more insane, as you do get hesh with this tank, which you don't get with most of the others. So, in fact, any of the others. So, that is something great about the Tortoise. Now, we got the 92E1 off to the side, and we also got the 4005. This 92 is going to get a hesh shell right into his bootay. There you go. Nice 475 tap. And now we're going to slowly make our way more into the front line. We got the 4005 off to the side, and I'm going to be real, there's not much else I really can do in this game, because their team's all the way off to the other side of the map. So I am going to head towards this 4005. I think I can get a decent chunk of damage off of him, so let's see if I can do that right now. There is one hesh shell. Oh, and he's not running Spall. That's 644 damage we just took off of his tank. Yeah, that's gotta hurt you, bro. That's really, really gotta hurt you. I'm gonna ignore him, start heading towards this T92E1, because I think we can finish off the 92. Ah, rip. Ah, that guy really wasn't much of a threat for us. So all that's left is the Yo. We got the 92, and yeah, there's really not much for me to be scared of at this moment. If I push in, I don't really think I'm going to be able to do much, so I'm just going to reload. 3 more seconds. Oh, we got the Waffle. Come on, keep going, or back up. Either works. Come on, keep going, and a fire. Nice, there you go. 466 tap with a hesh shell there. This game is not the best for damage. We're up to 2,900, which, when you think about it again, we're in a tier 9, dealing 2,900 damage, trying to play as aggressive as I can. I mean, pretty solid. Nothing crazy again, but I do think the Tortoise is a great vehicle. The fact that its gun just keeps on pounding and pounding and pounding, the fact that it has hesh, and it's got really good pen, really good accuracy, and even though it is slow, because it's slow, it actually has really good on-movement dispersion. I would say overall that the Tortoise is a fantastic vehicle, and with the DPM, it's amazing. The problem for the Tortoise is that after you get past it, you have the 183, which is literally the most obtuse playstyle to this tank ever. It's something that I don't love about this tank, is that the whole line is like this whole DPM saga, and then you make your way to the Tortoise, and it's nothing, or not the Tortoise, but the 183, and it's nothing like the rest, and I do get a little bit salty about that. So we're going to finally now play in the Foch. It seems that Wargaming changed its ammo loadout a little bit from the latest update somehow, but the Foch has insane DPM, the Foch has great frontal protection, great mobility, the Foch has no downsides. This is, out of the bunch, the best. It has the mobility, it has the armor, it has the DPM. The only real killer is that it has no premium penetration. It's the same pen as the tier 8, which, don't get me wrong, it's decent. Like, you'll penetrate most vehicles you aim at, but there will be times when you're aiming at tier 10 heavies that you just can't pen. For example, a Type 71. If you run into one of those, oh boy, you are not going to be penetrating it. So we're just going to wait here. We're going to chill. Hopefully our VK72 does a bit of spotting, which it looks like he did. Let's aim it on that 50B and miss. But good news is that we can back up and we reload so fast. I mean, it doesn't even matter if this 50B pokes again. Now we have no fence. I hate that there is a fence here, though. It is one of the most irritating things. So again, we're just going to chill here. We'll wait. There's 2 tanks spotted off to that side of the map, and oh wow, our standard B has bled a lot. Problem is, if I push too aggressive, although, you know what, judging that Foch is now turning towards the other way, my guess is that most of their team is not over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push off towards the side of the Yo, and let's go from damage into him. I mean, with Adrenaline, we got around 5,000 DPM on his vehicle, and yeah, I really don't think this guy is going to enjoy this too much. there went the yo. Long live him. Now we got the VK90 over here. He just fired, which means we can get a nice pen into his frontal track wheel. And in 3 more seconds, we should be able to get another pen. But I also think it's possible that that 50B is off to our side. He is, but doesn't look like he's actually rushing me, so I'm not too worried. Let's reload again. There you go. You can see the armor actually doing its job on this vehicle. Now we can ignore that. We can push over towards this Foch. And the funny part is we actually have more DPM than the Foch 155. We are a tier 9 tank destroyer on the same line as the Foch, and we out-reload him and have more DPM. It's a little weird how that works, isn't it? So let's reload. We got 1 more second, and badonker. There you go. And yeah, I mean, sure, I'm pretty sure he could out-reload us here, and that's why I didn't push. But the fact that I even lowered the tier 10 version of my tank to that little hit points is pretty insane when you think about it. So now we got the 50B off to the side. We're going to aim in an HE shell, and boop, there you go. Nice 413 tap. I would easily guess we're upwards of 35 to 4,000 damage at this point. So yeah, 3781. The Foch is an amazing vehicle. We played all of these games back to back, and some of them were up against tier 10s, and you can see just how strong these tier 9 tank destroyers are. Honestly, they are some of my favorite tanks in the game just because of their outrageous DPM and capabilities in the front line. So we got the 92E1 over here, and I mean, it's possible the guy's going to kill me, but I'm not too worried. Again, we have so much DPM that even if I die, I can still probably take a fairly hefty chunk off of these guys. Like this 92, for example, who is quite low at this point. And now we just turn. Aw, really? We were going to kill that 92. He even bounced us with a heat shell. As I did say, the armor on this tank is quite substantially strong. But, I mean, when you have a WZ-120 off to your side, there's not much you're going to do. But overall, the enemy team's still going to lose this. Our Jagdtiger is going to clear that WZ-120. And even though the 92E1 did get away, I mean, the dude's a one-shot. I doubt he's going to get very far at all. So let's see. Jagdtiger is going to... hopefully, there you go, penetrate the shell. And with that, we have the 57 Heavy, who is going to hopefully clear this T92E1. Well, maybe not. Our VK72 did it. Either way, 4 battles played in a row, and all these games we averaged easily over 3,000 damage on. Showcases that tier 9s are great, and specifically these 4 tier 9s are some of the strongest ones you'll get out there. This was a 4,500 damage game, maybe a mastery. Yeah, it was, wow. So out of the 2 games, or not the 2 games, but out of the 4 games we played, we got 2 masteries, which is not bad at all. Let's just claim our Mib Shins real quick. There you go. And yeah, man, what a fun bunch of tanks. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.